511 McGregor Farm Road, otherwise known as the Meadows.
Oh, just
So if I can get,
1 second.
okay. All right, we did close the public hearing last night, so we just need to have the resolution put on the table this evening.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-14, being a bylaw of the Rural Municipality of East St. Paul to amend zoning bylaw 2009-04, be given second reading with the conclusion that a development agreement to address items such as, but not limited to, land use buffering between different land uses in order to ensure compatibility and any site development or construction of infrastructure requirements. And be it further resolved that subject to a further agreements, including conditions based upon the type, density, and interior site design to be provided by the developer.
Thank you. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Horechko, seconded by Duval. We have the item on the floor now, so I'll open it up for council discussion. Councillor Devlin?
Are these on?
Suzanne.
Doesn't sound like it is. There we go.
Okay. I have written my response, which is not usual practice, but due to the magnitude of the application and the many points raised, I wanted to ensure nothing was missed. I will open by saying it is not logical to think these or any land should not have the ability to be developed. It is our responsibility to the voters who put us on council to ensure development fits in our community. These developments are operationally assumed with their ongoing costs by municipalities in perpetuity. Therefore, in-depth due diligence needs to be conducted prior to approvals. Is this going in and out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I do support change and encourage innovative, well thought out development. I support complete. Is it me or is it
The microphones.
You're fine.
I support complete communities and was recently in Calgary touring several of them. Do you want me to use that one?
Good, it might be better for you if you don't, it doesn't cut in and out.
Okay. Seaton and Cranston are good examples of two communities directly across the highway from each other, sustaining their members. If designed properly, these communities allow people to age in place with the majority of their necessities, amenities within walking distance. Complete communities designs take the incremental traffic and service burdens off of town centers and city centers. From the meeting last night, I understand that the professionals acting on behalf of the applicant have this type of development in mind. However, there is a disconnect between the applicant's team and RRPD, resulting in our professionals advising not to approve the application. I believe the land, if developed, would have little impact on the core area of East St. Paul. Country Crossing is a good example, as most vehicles leaving this development generally turn south towards the city. This development would see the same pattern of vehicles leaving and heading to the city. I was, however, surprised that MIT had no concerns with the development and would hope further due diligence would be conducted if the land was moving towards development. We heard from several parents of Country Crossing who cannot even utilize our schools, yet this is a development in East St. Paul, mainly using city resources. St. Paul's population is, as of 2021 census, 9,725. This development has the potential to substantially increase our population. I believe a development of this site needs a school system. The school boards have made past decisions regarding new developments, which cause many issues once developments were completed. The last thing a parent wants to hear is there is no capacity for their children, and the only option is to find another school in a different area, placing children on buses for far too much time in their day. I understand this would be discussed with a subdivision application, but wanted to let the applicant know this is a sensitive item and needs to be seriously considered. I understand the need for multi-housing options, which can only be achieved by having a variety of lot sizes. The decision to rezone to a minimum or maximum approach may be the solution, as I understand zoning is a guideline to development. However, our professionals are cautioning that this can also be used as a blanket approach as well. The R125 is a drastic change from our R117 and R110 zoning. The applicant applied for R125 for a reason, and if approved, will utilize this zoning. The uncertainty is to what capacity. If the property is rezoned to RN60, we are told they can proceed to permit without any further discussions. The vagueness of the application leaves too many unknowns. I have no concerns with the commercial highway zone, except would like to have more information. I heard two different rationales last night for housing. Ms. Richards stated that housing is becoming increasingly more expensive, out of reach, and becoming a dream for many families, referencing that this development has the ability to offer affordable housing. I concur with her statement. I also believe there is a stigma around the word affordable housing. I believe we as a society need to move away from this preconceived notion of increased crime, et cetera, based on the size of a home. Mr. Marquez presented that houses of 600,000 or more are not considered affordable, and that this development would in fact mimic or complement East St. Paul's current developments. These two very different approaches in their closing remarks left more confusion. Our community felt that an ultimatum was on the table, which is not good business practice. Ultimatums can leave the feeling of being backed into corners. I am sure the applicant was only providing options and facts and didn't want the community to feel pressured. I will speak frankly on this matter and not intend to offend. I understand that the applicant can move forward with option B, which is urban reserve, but this venture does not happen overnight. It too has a process and would take time to complete. When we were in discussions with Bond, they wanted their land to be urban reserve. I asked why they wouldn't rezone, subdivide, and market the lands for profit. The chief of council was interested in my question, but one of her counselors scolded me for putting profit before people, and their membership was the priority. This allowed me to see their side and thought process for development. Therefore, I see this applicant has the ability for a successful development from a different standpoint. If they move forward with option B, Option B can also remove the RM from servicing concerns. In closing, I have to support our professionals and reject the application as presented before us today. However, it is my hope that the applicant sets the process in motion with council and administration to generate an application that could be approved in its entirety to create a successful, prosperous, and collaborative development for all involved.
I have a similar message. However, I'll deal with just a couple of issues that we're concerned with. There are a number of them, but I'll just touch on two of them. One of them is the density. This proposal is of extremely high density, not just compared to what we have in East St. Paul, but I don't think there's anything quite like it in the city of Winnipeg. And it's rather a surprise to me that they brought this forward, quite frankly, but it did, and we have to deal with it. It is just not a fit for East St. Paul. The character of the whole neighborhood is just not a fit. Lots that are no wider than the length of your truck, and things like that. Very difficult to service for the municipality. It's just a very poor fit. We won't get into a whole bunch of details, and the other is touched on by Councillor Devlin was we didn't receive any comment from MIT, the province, on the traffic issue. That whole piece of land, not just the golf course, but everything between Highway 59, the floodway, and the perimeter, it only has two outlets. That whole area only has two outlets, and that is the Wenzel intersection at the perimeter, the north perimeter. There's new traffic lights there. And the other end of Wenzel, north right here in town, which is a new intersection with traffic lights. There will not be allowed by the province any other access to that whole piece of ground onto those two highways. Just the new layout of the highways with all the exit ramps and so on, intersections. Another access from that land, all that area in there will not be allowed. So that piece of property and all the other areas around in that east part of there will always have that burden of having a traffic problem. So establishing a very high density, large residential unit in there with potentially 6,000 people and who knows how many cars, everybody's going to have cars, is going to be a problem that has to be addressed. And unfortunately, and for some reason, MIT didn't even comment on that. So that's kind of bothersome. So those are the two things that I will mention. Thank you.
Councillor Costume.
Does work. I agree with both what both councillors have said. Being in this area a long time, I'm amazed that MIT didn't look at it. 59 going Friday to the lake is backed up to grassy as it is. I can't see another 2,000 cars trying to come home or leave from that area. I know I'll bring up a couple other things, but the density to be 75-foot height, 6- and 7-story buildings is not a St. Paul that they stated in there. As Councillor DeVal said, 18-foot wide multifamily or 25-foot single family with 23-foot frontage when your truck's 20 feet. With a year like this, I don't know what they would do for snow. Down the road, we take it over. We have to do all the maintenance on this. We're not even sure, we have a ladder truck. I don't even know if it would fit on these roads. In some areas, there's no road, there's back lanes. So with the density, the traffic, it is not what East St. Paul it is. It's not compatible with East St. Paul, and I would not support it. I also know there's other problems that some of the residents have stated yesterday with water and with drainage problems on the back of the land. So I'm very concerned what that would do to our aquifer. I know wells have dried up in that area on McGregor Farm Road in the summer when it's hot. So I would not be supporting this application.
I have to agree with my fellow councillors on this, and unfortunately, I can't support the rezoning application because I believe the proposal is not compatible with East St. Paul. It just doesn't fit. It's too dense, traffic issues, school issues. Yeah, there's many reasons. But I wish that if this proposal is defeated, that we could sit down with the developer and then maybe come to a solution where both sides come up with something that could work in East St. Paul, because we are open to development. It's got to work for both of us. That's it. Thank you.
So I will be voting to oppose this rezoning application as well, and I'll share my reasons for doing so. The rezoning application is not consistent with the rural municipality's own development plan, which was just updated in 2019. The property is not an area where significant development exists or is planned, and where the extension of central wastewater services are even planned. Notwithstanding this development plan statement, the RM does not have the required infrastructure to support the development, nor has the applicant provided sufficient information on how their services would be provided or could be provided. The proposed application does not appear harmonious with the surrounding land uses, and the possible density of this development is at the opposite end of the continuum from the surrounding area and our municipality as a whole. Despite the assertions of the applicant, if council approves the requested rezonings, developers could build out the entire site at the smallest lot size or highest density to which the zone would be rezoned. In the case of the R125 zone, this would be a minimum site area of 2,750 square feet and a minimum site width of 25-foot wide lots. With no site coverage limits included in their proposed zoning bylaw tables, the only limiting factor are the site area and the frontage limitations. For clarity, they did not include a density. And this is the same case in the RM60 zone. In this zone, apartment buildings as high as 6 or 7 stories, I'm not sure what a 75-foot height is, somewhere between a 6 and 7-foot story apartment building, could be built out on the site, with the only limiting factor again being the site requirements, as no density or site coverage was included in their bulk tables. This council has seen many applications that are routinely circulated to many government departments, including Manitoba Infrastructure. I am both puzzled and concerned that MI made no comments at all regarding this application. It's highly unusual. A development with these impacts surely was worthy of some comments. We routinely see them on many applications, even the smallest ones. We're hearing an application, a public hearing tonight, which MI comment on is very routine. And the lack of any comments is concerning. My colleagues have brought up the traffic issues in that area. And it was just puzzling as to why no comments came from MI. We heard from many residents at the public hearing, and there is strong opposition for this application for many reasons, as my colleagues have mentioned and what we heard last night. We also heard that there is support for the development of the site, but just not the proposal that was being put in front of us. Many residents, and I thought many residents spoke very passionately about that. In other words, we're not anti-development. This development is just not a fit. They also indicated that they would have appreciated more collaboration between the RM, the applicant, and the residents before the application was submitted. And I can't disagree with those sentiments. For an application with so many impacts to the residents and the RM, a collaborative approach could have been a very meaningful process. Despite the assertions of the applicant that they made many attempts to do so, it simply needed to occur. If it took a few more weeks to schedule a meeting date with staff, it would have been of great benefit to everyone involved. We will, as a council, be reviewing the meeting timelines that the developers mentioned on their inability to secure a meeting with our staff, so that we have complete clarity on our role and the responses that we received in this process. And in closing, I want to say that a single development proposal that has the potential to increase the population of our municipality by 50% needs the proper due diligence and collaboration with both the RM and its residents. And this is in respect, these comments are in respect to the two zones. I do have a difference of opinion on the applicant's request for a commercial zone at the front of the property. It is a zone. They're not asking for a new zone. They're simply asking to rezone the front. I don't know what the dimensions are, the front of the property that faces 59 to a commercial zone. I really don't have any argument, any concerns with that in general. We were not really provided with any information at the public hearing. In regards to those plans, I think most of the conversation centered on the two new zones. So I really wouldn't have any concerns myself with the commercial zone, but I did want to ask Mr. Eno if that's even something that, is this a package deal? Is there something that would cause issues on just approving potentially one of the three zones that have been proposed?
So the application that's been given to council, or the bylaw, is one bylaw. It's one package, which was to introduce two new zones to your zoning bylaw and then rezone the property to three zones. Two of them being the two new residential zones and the one being the commercial zone at the, I'll say the front towards McGregor Farm Road. Typically, councils will vote, yay or nay on the package, but there's nothing in the Planning Act that would preclude council from approving an application in part. So that is an option that council could do. That would rely upon council, changing the motion that's on the floor and splitting your resolutions into two different resolutions. One would be to approve just the portion of what's being proposed. And in this case, I guess we're talking about the commercial portion. And then the other resolution would be to reject the rest of the bylaw. So rezoning the rest of the property and including the two new zones into the zone. So that is a possibility, yes. We would have to come up with some language on a resolution, which we can do. I would want to make council aware, though, that if you were to go that way, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, you're still open to an appeal process, and you'd be open to appeal process for rejecting part of the bylaw, appeal from the applicant. You'd be open to an appeal from the public for approving part of the bylaw. You could also, I believe, would be open to an appeal from the applicant for approving part of the bylaw, because as you had noted, there are no dimensions that are solid dimensions that the applicant had proposed for that front portion. So in approving that front portion, I'll say front, you have to choose a dimension for them. And if you don't choose something correctly, I guess that's something that they could take issue with. I noticed that in the addendum that they did provide you, they did have some dimensions in there. I think in that addendum, as well as, if I recall correctly, what was said the other night, that was more conceptual and could ebb and flow at a subdivision stage. I looked on there, and the commercial portion jets to the east from McGregor Farm Road, anywhere from 320 to about 250 or 260 feet. So I'm not sure what dimension you would choose. That'd just be the challenge, but I guess it's a long-winded way of saying yes, you can.
No, I appreciate that. Is it normal and at the stage where we were at the public hearing yesterday, would it be routine that the diagram, the site dimensions would have been included at this point in their due diligence, in their process?
So if you recall from the report that Red River provided you in our analysis, we had some concerns with the package that was proposed by the applicant. Some of those related to policies, and some of them were technical issues. One of the technical things was that there were no solid dimensions. And that is typically included by an applicant at the application stage. So you know exactly where things are going to be located. And as I noted in the report, it comes down to practical reasons for when someone submits a building permit. How do I know that the house or the commercial store is actually on the commercial zone parcel or partly over? So that's typically provided at the application stage. And that opportunity was provided to the applicant to bring that application forward before the bylaw was even introduced to council.
Yeah, I did read that information, and I guess they felt it was not needed at this stage. So absent that information, it makes it hard for us to approve the single commercial zone.
You would be guessing for the.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, any other comments from council before we put this to the table to vote? All right, so we have the motion, we have the resolution on the table. There are comments? All that's left to is vote on the matter. Okay. I'll call the question then. Excuse me. Call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is defeated.
I mean, Madam Mayor, because of this resolution being defeated with new legislature that's received and passed, council is now required to pass a resolution or to put a resolution on the floor, stating the reasons as to why they did that. From conversations we've heard, if I may, I believe we've encapsulated. If it's possible, just confer with our colleagues, make sure we have everything down correctly, and we'll just take a little bit of a break if that's all right.
And just to confirm is that the comments you'll be gathering from what we all individually are reasons for.
Conversations from council.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, do you need a recess?
If we could, that would be best.
Couple minutes.
I believe if all three members there were some concerns on that.
And add in if council agrees that there were concerns from provincial agencies. Yeah.
For a couple, yeah.
Do you need the specifics or just a general comment?
Yeah, as a general, because I forgot what we said, there was a couple.
Madam Mayor, it was community and regional planning that identified some concerns, but I think you can just leave it broad.
Okay.
I think that's fine for this purpose. There's no litmus test on going through this yet, so
Yep. This could be it.
this could be it, yeah.
If there's no other reasons, I'll read the full resolution.
Yes, please. And I think you had transport instead of transportation.
Yes, I did.
I think they've changed their name again.
It's just Manitoba infrastructure.
Just Manitoba infrastructure.
No,
Did they change it
yeah,
again?
they've changed it in the application we're hearing today.
I'll open it quickly.
This is Manitoba Infrastructure Highway Planning and Design Branch. I don't know if that's a subset of Manitoba Infrastructure, but
It is, yeah.
is it a subset?
Yeah, sorry, I should use this. Highway design branch is the branch that typically deals with accesses onto provincial roads and highways and traffic studies, that sort of thing. I believe under Manitoba infrastructure, there's other things like drainage and that kind of stuff that aren't related. So the new department name, or new as how a year ago, is Manitoba infrastructure.
Okay.
And then I think if we want to say highway design branch, it just changed again.
Yeah, I'm just quickly looking on the website here and it says it's transportation and infrastructure.
There we go.
Oh, okay. I'm behind the
And I'm
times.
not sure, the problem is in this one, I don't think, I'm just gonna pull out the name that they, the department name that Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure Highway Design Branch was the ones that had no concern about traffic flow.
Highway design branch. So. Station.
Want to jump from the top?
Sorry, did you want just a list again or would you like the full resolution?
Just read the whole resolution thing.
Okay. Whereas the applicant has made application for a zoning bylaw amendment to include 2 new zones in the zoning bylaw, R125 and RM60, and to rezone the subject lands from PR Parks and Recreation Zone and RR5 Rural Residential 5 to R125, Single Housing Dwelling Zone, RM60, Multiple Housing 60 Dwelling Zone, and CH Commercial Highway Zone. And whereas council has considered the application, the information received as part of the application process, and the municipality's zoning bylaw requirements. Therefore, be it resolved that the application is rejected as the application does not meet the requirements of the Planning Act and is rejected for the following reasons. The proposal is not compatible with the character of East St. Paul. There were strong objections presented at the public hearing. There were concerns from provincial agencies. The application was missing critical information. The proposal is not consistent with the development plan. Lack of comments and information from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure Highway Design Branch, given the proximity and access to Provincial Road 59 and Provincial Road 101. And the proposal is not harmonious with the surrounding area.
Capture everybody's concerns?
Sums it up.
Okay. You've read the resolution. Do we have a mover and seconder?
No, we need to mover and seconder.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Postumus and Evelyn. Any further discussion? We'll call for the question. In favor? And that's carried. All right, so let's move ahead to our one public hearing this evening. It is both a zoning and a subdivision application. So I think, Jennifer, we have two resolutions. We're going to read it back to back.
That's correct.
Going to treat them separately, just like we normally would. We're just going to do them back to back.
Yeah, we'll do them back to back.
Go ahead, please.
So the first one reads, be it resolved that council open a public hearing of council for file number BL 2021-15, south of Prairie Ridge Drive, between Rebec Road and Andrews Road.
Mover and seconder, please. Horechko and Postumus. All in favor? That's carried. And the second one?
Be it resolved that council open the public hearing of council for file number S 21-2936, south of Prairie Ridge Drive, between Rebec Road and Andrews Road.
Thank you again. Mover and seconder, please. Evelyn and Duval, all in favor? And that's carried. So we have both public hearings open. I'm going to ask Jennifer first to read the opening for the public hearing information.
Council wishes to thank you for taking an interest in what is happening in your municipality by attending this evening. The purpose of these public hearings is to receive representations from the applicant and any persons who wish to make them concerning what is proposed. We will hear first from the applicant, then from those present who wish to make representations, starting with anyone who wants to speak in favor of the proposal, followed by those who are opposed to or object to the proposal. At the end of these other presentations, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. If anyone intends to make a presentation for any of the hearings scheduled for this evening, please record your name and contact information on the appropriate sign-in sheet located at the desk as you enter the council chambers. Applicants must also sign in. If you haven't signed in, please do so now so you have an opportunity to speak to council. At the end of each presentation, the members of council may ask for clarification with the speaker on any fact or issue, but will not enter into a debate. Person speaking must address the chair. If they have questions that they think the applicant should answer, they should raise them in their presentation to the chair. The applicant will have an opportunity to respond to questions when the other presentations are finished. If the hearing is not completed today, whether because we run out of time or further information is to be provided, then we will adjourn the hearing. If we adjourn, we will tell you at this hearing the date for the continued public hearing. There will be no other notice given of the date. Even if the representations are completed today, we may not be making our decisions today. Until our decision is made, there can be no further communication of any kind with council or the members about the proposal. When council makes this decision, all persons who made a representation at the hearing will be notified. Tonight we have a zoning bylaw amendment. If council decides to give second reading to the bylaw, those who made objections at this public hearing will have an opportunity to file a second objection with the Red River Planning District. So if you want to have this opportunity, please make sure that you identify yourself as an objector. We also have a subdivision application for tonight. When council makes its decision on the application, only the applicant or the Minister of Municipal Government may appeal this decision.
Great. Thank you very much. And with that information provided, I'll turn the floor over to Emi Ojo from Red River Planning to walk us through the application.
Good evening, council members. The public hearing before the committee this evening is for zoning bylaw 2021-15 and subdivision X 2021-2936. The subject location is south of Prairie between Quebec Road and Andrews Road. The intent of this application is to create 17 lots from 5 existing parcels of land. And the applicant is wishing to rezone.
1 second, I just noticed, whose monitors the comments coming through? Do you, Suzanne?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody just indicated that Femi's mic is not on.
Maybe what we'll do is. Move this one? This is the one for the internet. Well,
Okay.
we'll use both so everyone can hear inside and then
And I'll say,
Internet.
sorry, Femi, would you start?
someone can hear now. Perfect.
Okay, great.
So the application before the committee this evening is a zoning bylaw amendment 2021-15 and the subdivision S21-2936. The proposer, the applicant intends to create 17 lots from 5 existing parcels of land and then rezone a portion of that subject land from RR2 rural residential to RR1 rural infill residential. This is a map showing the the subject property in terms of the surrounding context. And this is a subdivision application map provided by the applicant. We have 3 areas here. We have the existing RR1 zoning district, and we have the existing RR2 zoning district. And we have the lots 13, 14, and 15 that the applicant is rezoning from RR2 to RR1. The table before the council this evening shows the lot sizes in terms of width and the site area. All the lots complies with the zoning bylaw lot width and lot area, with the exception of lot 17. That has a reduced lot width area, which is 132.68 instead of 150. At this time, I want to let the council know that no variances will be required because this is an existing legally established lot. At this time, I want to let the council know that the subjects are probably falls within a designation called rural residential, which is concerned with the development plan, and that the subject proposal is concerned with the within the immediate vicinity, especially areas to the north of Prairie Road, and that all the lots they have access to all-weather roads. Given the aforementioned reasons, RRPD therefore recommends that it not be approved. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Council, any questions? Planner? So as is our process, we like to first give the applicant a first opportunity to make a presentation, and I believe, Slim, you're appearing on behalf of the applicant? All right, thank you. And just so you know, anybody who wants to speak tonight at the podium, you're free to take off your mask.
Make sure that this is working. Good. Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair and honorable council members and administration for the opportunity to present and speak on this application. As a brief intro, my name is Jennifer Lim. I am the owner of Threshold Planning Studio, and I am a registered professional planner. I will be presenting in support of the application on behalf of the Rebeck family. Gary and Mary Rebeck are at the center back of the photo above and also in the center of the front row in the audience here tonight. They'll be here speaking in support of the application, as will Scott, Nicole Rebeck, and Dave and Lori Lester, who I believe are online with us tonight. As a brief background on the property, the farmstead at 4027 Rebeck Road, where Gary Rebeck was born, was developed with a house and several outbuildings for the farm. And in the years that followed, 5 properties were developed, each of them with houses and outbuildings. A total of 5 generations have now lived on these lands. They now contain 4003 Rebeck, and I just try and get my cursor to work here, which is located at this property here. 4027, the farmstead, is right here. 4041, which is just at the corner of Prairie Ridge Drive and Rebeck Road. And then just down at the south end, I do believe my screen is cutting off here, 4000 Andrews Road and 4020 Andrews Road. There's nothing developed on these ends over here. So the proposal before you tonight is to take those 5 existing lots, reduce the site areas down to generally 2 acres in site area each, and produce a total of 17 lots, with the 3 in the northeastern corner being generally 1.39 acres in site area each, which requires a rezoning from the RR2 to the RR1. There will be direct access onto either Prairie Ridge Drive, Rebeck Road, or Andrews Road for each lot. Part of the proposal dedicates a 10-foot strip to finally formalize the existing right-of-way for Prairie Ridge Drive. So you can't really see it very easily on the overhead above. There's a little indicator right here. And basically where Prairie Ridge does a bit of a dip in the road, there's a 10-foot strip all the way along that'll be finally dedicated to formalize the right-of-way that already exists. Now, the initial concept drawing, you can see that the development will, for the most part, mirror existing development on the north side of Prairie Ridge Drive. The lot widths couldn't be matched exactly, as we had to maintain both 2 acres in lot size and the 198 feet of site width to maintain septic field systems. But generally speaking, you will see development that looks somewhat similar to what exists on the north side, now being placed on the south side. This is a view along Prairie Ridge Drive looking eastward, generally from 2039 Prairie Ridge Drive. So council can expect that similar development will occur on the south side if the Rebeck's proposal is approved. Prior to making application, Nicole Rebeck went door to door to discuss the proposal with all the neighbors to seek their support and find out if they had any questions or concerns. A template of that letter is shown in the top left-hand corner of the slide, and we did provide a package with all the signatures to council. We didn't want to display that on Zoom tonight just because it has people's names and signatures on there. That still is private information. But in total, 22 of the properties surrounding this development did sign their support. The question asked of the neighbors was whether or not they supported both the subdivision and the proposed rezoning. Every effort was made to ensure that the lots would be 2 acres in site area, except for the 3 proposed lots in the northeast corner. Those 3 lots will be 1.39 acres in site area, and as such require rezoning. One signature wasn't included, was from a neighbor who had already found 2 potential purchasers for the Rebeck family, so we feel safe to state that we have their support. One gave verbal confirmation of no concerns through their door, but wasn't willing to open the door for whatever personal reasons they had. And one didn't object, but wanted to ensure that a drainage plan would be prepared by an engineer and that there would be no negative impacts to their property. So we note that this is a condition of approval, that we were required to get an engineered drainage plan. And the Rebecks have affirmed that they will contract should conditional approval be granted. In summary, the lots will be characteristic of existing development along Prairie Ridge Drive. 3 of the proposed 17 lots will be 1.39 acres in site area. The remaining will be 2 acres or more. Thankfully, our request is supported by neighbors. The conditional approval is subject to a set of standard conditions, including an engineer drainage plan and development agreement. The REBEC's proposal is supported by administration, and we hope that our request to rezone and subdivide will be supported by this council. So that concludes my presentation. And if there's any questions, I'll take them now. Otherwise, I'll have my seat. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lim. Any questions? All right, thank you. Maybe I could ask you, is there any other family member that wanted to speak on behalf of the application, sort of as the applicant piece right now? Okay.
Bring Gary up.
Okay.
Just wanted to touch on Jennifer's presentation. I'd like to speak of the history of the Riebeck family. We've been here since 1924, coming on 100 years. My grandfather, he had 11 children, 10 of which he gave land to, and those individuals gave land to their children. My father gave me land, and he gave my granddaughters 3 pieces of land where they could build on and raise their families. It's a tradition that Barry and I would like to carry on with this development. We have 3 granddaughters that we are giving lots to, and so they could, if they so choose, build their homes and raise their families here. As Jennifer mentioned in the development, this development will fit into the surrounding and basically surrounding area and will basically mirror the north side of Prairie Ridge. So we already have this type of development there, and so we're just going to do basically the same thing. We will have 9 lots available for sale. Without doing any advertising, we already have interest on 10 lots. We also have a couple of developers that are looking at possibly purchasing some. So some of the people that are showing interest are previous people that have been raised in East St. Paul and have had to move out and now want to come back and live in East St. Paul. So we have some of those people. And the interest that we have found from people that wanting to come and live in East St. Paul just indicates to us the need for this type of development, and ask for your support and approval. One thing else I would like to mention is that out of those 17 lots, 8 of them are going to be retained by the family. Five lots that we have with our residents on them, and 3 lots that are going to be given to the grandchildren.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Riebeck? Right, I'm just going to go through the list then of the folks that have signed in to speak in support. So if you want to speak, you're more than welcome to come to the podium. And if you just want to say you're in support and not speak, you're also able to do that. So I'll start with Nicole Riebeck.
In support.
Mary Riebeck.
In support.
Renee Fletcher.
In support.
Scott Fletcher.
In support.
Greg Link.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it was a little hard to read.
Sorry.
Yeah. Kind of recognized you. Alan Park, Al Park.
That definitely is.
All right, and from the online sign-ins, Suzanne, we have a Jan Lapka.
She's there. We're just waiting for her to unmute.
Okay, Ms. Lapka, if you can hear us, please unmute and you have the floor. Dave Lester?
Thinks he's all muted by the system.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Says he thinks we're all muted by the system.
Okay, somebody made the comment, everybody's muted?
They're all muted. They have to unmute when they're called.
When they're called, okay. Yeah. Is that Mr. Lester?
Yep, if you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in support.
Okay, thank you. That's all we had online. Do you want to give Jan Lapka another try there? We do have a phone number for her if somebody wants to give her a shout.
Is that question? Dave was asking if he had a question before that he could ask. Dave?
Last the guy who spoke.
Yeah.
Down there, please.
Dave Lester?
Hi, Jen. It's Suzanne from the Islands.
David Hilbert.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm asking you to.
It's not signed in. He didn't sign in for, it's not on the sign-in sheet, but I can always ask him at the end.
Is it the link is?
Place when this is working.
Okay, thank you. I will let the mayor know. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Technology, eh?
No issues, they're in favor.
Okay, thank you. Just out of interest, Suzanne, was it just not wanting to speak or just not being able to?
They're unable to click at their end to unmute it.
Okay, they just technologically couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we have a number, nobody in opposition, but we do have a number of people that signed in for information online. So I'll just go through the list with you again, Suzanne, to see if these folks want to stay at information or move it around. Mia Deck?
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can, Mia, go ahead.
I'd just like to know, I'm sure it's already covered, but the wells, like there's enough that there's no concern adding the extra lots for the existing wells to our street. I'm a resident on the street.
Okay,
That's
we'll
my
leave
only
that.
question.
Yeah, we'll leave that for the applicant's spokesperson to address at the end. They get an opportunity to hear of any questions or comments, so she can address that at the end.
Great, that was my only question.
Okay, and you want to stay for information?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Close?
I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Mary Struck?
Oh, yes, hi. Yeah, I just want to let you know that I signed up for informational purposes and, I'm good with the presentation, so I'll just stay with information purposes too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Berthelot? Just not on? Okay. Sylvia Watchko?
There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I just wanted to get some information. I'm happy with the presentation so far.
Okay, thank you.
My husband Brian here is here as well.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
My husband Brian is here as well.
Husband is there.
Yeah, it's Brian here. And I'm actually in support.
So Brian, you weren't on the list, only Sylvia was on the list originally.
Okay, that's fine.
So can I can get your details and add you and put you in favor here.
Sure, it's
So
Brian.
it's Brian, can you spell the last name?
Watchko, Wachko.
Okay, same name, same address? 680 Bowen?
That's correct.
Okay, well, I'll put you in favor.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Jamie Jasek and Sean McIntosh. Hello there. We heard you, now you're gone.
There. Okay. Hello, back again.
We can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, we're still for information only, but we have a significant traffic concern. When the original Prairie Ridge Drive was built and developed, there was no direct access to Highway 202, which means all traffic from there is being diverted onto Bray Road West, where we live. There is a stop sign from Andrews Road onto Bray Road West, but it's being completely disregarded by all residents. They just peel around that corner to access Highway 202. We walk there quite often, and it's become quite a hazard. Now, obviously, with 17 more lots, that's going to be a bunch more traffic. I'd like to see direct access to Highway 2 for Prairie Ridge Drive so they can divert their traffic away from our road. Because obviously now that subdivision is going to have far more lots than our current Bray Road West has, and shouldn't be diverting traffic onto Bray Road West.
All right, thank you.
Oh, man.
Are you mad?
Oh, yeah.
Any other comments? Is that it? Is Jamie there maybe wants to speak?
No, I'm good. Still for information only, but I do to have the traffic concern as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last one on this list is Dave Stuzik, Carlton Street. Okay. Well, I didn't ask if there was anybody else in chambers that didn't sign in that wanted to speak. Hi, come on up to the mic. Could you just state?
Yes, my name is Norm Carlson. I live in Forest Hill.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of the development. I think it is well within keeping with the dignity and the development of the community and welcome addition and benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. And anybody left online? I think we had one, Mr. Hippler. I'm not sure if there's anybody else, but if you want to let him in first.
Hi there. Yes, my name is David Steinhilber. I live on at 2099 Prairie Ridge Drive. I do actually obey that stop sign, other than the other residents said. So I'm not sure if that's actually a concern. My question actually is, and I'll stick around for information, but my question is, when they poured the, or not poured, but when they put the second lift of asphalt on the road, it still is not really in great shape in a lot of places. And I'm just wondering what the plan is for, since they're going to be having a lot of extra heavy equipment on that street now, on the street. What's the plan to repair that or maintain it?
All right, thank you. We will certainly leave that with the applicant to make comment, and potentially we'll ask our staff and follow up after.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, shoot, is he still there? I didn't know. I didn't get if he was favor, opposition, or info.
Information.
Or info? Okay, thank you.
Skip comment, yeah.
I need somebody to confirm his address. I think I have it right, but just for later.
2099.
299, yeah, that's what I have. Thank you. Great. Is there anybody left online that wanted to speak to this application? If you're there, put your name in chat. There's nobody there? Okay, nobody else there? Good. All right, we'll finish with online. I'll turn it back over to the applicant for any closing comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know that there's really too much that we can actually do. My understanding is that Prairie Ridge Drive was built to spec. It was rebuilt at one point and it should be able to withstand traffic. We have 12 potential new homes. It's 17 lots in total, but 5 already exist. So at most 12 new lots, 2 cars per home, 24 more cars. I think that those numbers, those capacities are going to be within reason. And so do improvements to intersections, to get permits from MI to move an intersection. That's just not something that we're considering at this point for this development. It's unfortunate that some people may not be observing the stop sign, but I don't know there's anything we can do to address that. The other thing that was kind of brought up was the well water. As far as I know, there's nothing in any of the documentation I found. There's concerns with well water depths in this area, that they're sufficient. And again, for residential use and consumption, it shouldn't be a concern. We're not an industrial development or a commercial with high water being withdrawn from the groundwater table. So, we should be well within parameters. Each developer would get their own licensed well driller to come in and drill their own private potable water. So hopefully that answers all the questions. I don't know if there's any additional ones that maybe I missed, and if there are any, please let me know.
Great. Council, any questions?
Yeah, they stated that some of them were giving to like granddaughters and that, so you're probably not going to see 12 homes going in 6 months. It's going to be over time that we feel. So the stress on them will be less that way. Also, there's not going to be continuous heavy equipment at that time.
Absolutely. Much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe Jen, I could ask, our Jen, too many Jens. If I could ask maybe in relation to the second lift question, would that come up in development agreement discussion?
I'm going to defer to our Director of Infrastructure. He would be the one who'd be able to make any comment on the lift's availability, if they could be damaged or not.
Yeah, the existing, I don't have any information on the current condition of that roadway. It certainly isn't a priority, or hasn't been identified as a priority for reconstruction or repair at this point. This summer, however, we are going to be taking a look at the RM's roadway infrastructure and doing an asset management assessment to help prioritize and gauge the condition of those roads. So once we get out and get a look at that road, we can certainly determine what sort of priority it is. And if warranted, it's something we could talk to the developer about in terms of sort of, is there anything that could be included in the DA? But I think the first thing to do would be to do an assessment of the roadway and determine its condition.
It's an odd situation where a road has been completed and only one half of the street was developed, and this is the other half of the street, and it's been many years in between. So it's an unusual occurrence to have probably development work in that way. So, all right. Any other questions? Derek, can you address the question at all on the water capacity? Would that be a provincial oversight on that question?
That's exactly right. Provincial licenses are required to obtain drilling rights for potable water. So that's just like on-site wastewater management, septic fields, that's completely under the purview of the province.
All right, thank you. Any other questions of council? Hearing none, are we prepared to close the public hearing? All right, please.
Mr. Confirmation, we have two resolutions that close both public hearings.
Great.
Be it resolved that council close the public hearing of council for file number BL 2021-15, south of Prairie Ridge Drive between Rebeck Road and Andrews Road.
Thank you. Moved by Horachko, seconded by Costamus. All in favor? It's carried and the public hearing number 1 is closed.
Resolved that council close the public hearing of council for file number S 21-2936, south of Prairie Ridge Drive between Rebeck Road and Andrews Road.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Duval and Devlin. All in favor? That's carried and that public hearing is closed. Now, please, resolution for this matter. I guess there's 2 separate resolutions as well.
Correct. There's one for the subdivision and then one for the bylaw reading.
Thank you.
Be resolved that S 21-2936, south of Prairie Ridge Drive between Rebeck Road and Andrews Road be approved subject to the following conditions. 1, applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the chief administrative officer of the municipality that A, taxes on the land to be provided for the current year plus any arrears have been paid or arrangements satisfactory to council have been made. B, payment of any applicable development levies have been paid. C, a drainage/lot grading plan to be prepared by a qualified engineer to the satisfaction of the municipality and to ensure that the proposed properties do not drain into or impede drainage from neighboring properties. D, a development agreement has been entered into to address the following but not limited to: development fees, servicing, drainage. 2, applicant owner obtained variances for undersized lots. 3, applicant owner submits written confirmation to the RRPD from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Registration of this agreement will be included as a condition of the final certificate of approval. And we have the contact information. 4, applicant's owner submits written confirmation to RRPD from Bell MTS that an easement agreement has been entered into with Bell MTS with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Registration of this agreement will be included as a condition of the final certificate of approval. And again, we have the contact information. 5, applicant owner submits written confirmation to the RRPD from Manitoba Infrastructure Highway Traffic Branch that access permits have been obtained for proposed lots 15, 16, and 17. 6, applicant owner submits written confirmation to RRPD from Manitoba Infrastructure Highway Traffic Branch that land drainage is not an issue. A detailed drainage plan may be required. 7, applicant owner submits written confirmation to the RRPD from Manitoba Conservation and Climate that a development drainage plan, engineering design and analysis has been completed to the satisfaction of Manitoba Conservation and Climate, and that the applicant has obtained all required approvals from the department.
Thank you. One of the earlier conditions you mentioned the word variance. And I'm not sure, I think I heard Mr. Ojo say it wasn't required. So would that necessitate, if required, be added?
You could put down if required. The reason why it's in there, Madam Mayor, is because you're dealing with the subdivision before you're actually dealing with the rezoning, and 3 of the lots are technically undersized. So we have to contemplate the possible, maybe unlikely scenario that the subdivision could be rezoned, but the rezoning denied. In that case, they would have to come back to council for variance on the lot size. But as you heard earlier, Femi Ojo's analysis is that should the rezoning be approved, then everything is in conformance. So that's why that's in there.
Okay.
Make sense?
I think it's highly unlikely, so I think we'll leave it as is. All right. We have the resolution read. Have we had it moved yet? Okay, moved and seconded, please. Parechko and Duval, any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? Carried. The conditions of the second one the same?
No, this is strictly for the bylaw reading for second reading if council's prepared.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-15 being a bylaw of the RM of East St. Paul to amend zoning bylaw 2009-04 as amended be given second reading.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder? Devlin and Duval, discussion? All in favor? And that's
Third reading?
Yep.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-15 being a bylaw of the RM of East St. Paul to amend zoning bylaw number 2009-04 as amended be given third reading.
Thank you. Mover and seconder again. Parechko and Postumus. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Yes, Mr. Eno.
Madam Mayor, just for council's confirmation, as well as the applicant, that condition in the subdivision about a variance, because the rezoning has now been given third reading, that will just be crossed off the list as completed.
It's completed. Look at them go.
We go.
Next, do good work fast. All right, we're all done with that matter. All approved.
Thank you very much.
You guys are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Bring donuts.
No. Okay.
Pierogies.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Hey, Jennifer.
I'll stay. All right.
The next item is zoning bylaw amendment 2022-02, its first reading. This was brought forward from our meeting on this meeting. Yes, so I will turn it over to our planner to this again.
I'm just going to give council a bit of a refresher on what this was about.
Sure.
There you go. That's good.
Good evening, council members. You recall that February 22nd council meeting, this item was discussed. It's the zoning bylaw amendment first reading, BL 2022-02. This location for the applicant is 2461, 2463, 2481 Henderson Highway. So the intent of the applicant is to introduce a new zoning bylaw, a new zone into the bylaw called LMU, low-rise mixed-use St. Paul zoning bylaw. And the intent is to rezone the subject property from R117 to this particular zone, LMU. This is the zoning map showing the context in terms of the surrounding areas, the roads and the dwellings around it. This is the existing zoning map for the applicant's property, which is surrounded by commercial neighborhood or R117 lots. This is a table, more like a bulk table showing what is permitted, what are the uses that conditional uses. And the table also shows some of the development standards or site requirements. for both the principal building and there's requirements for accessory structures on site. In terms of a site width, as per the applicant in the LMU zoning district, the minimum site width is going to be 100 feet, minimum front yard of 30 feet, or rear yard of 25, and the building height of 50 feet, which is more like 4 stories. As earlier mentioned, the intent is to construct a vertical mixed-use development comprising of 45 residential units and 5,300 square foot commercial space for phase 1, 30 residential units for phase 2. The applicant also stated that the phase 2 will not commence until east and post water treatment plant has been upgraded. I'd like to state that the subject property falls within the settlement center designation of the RRPD development plan, and there seems to be some servicing issues with this site, which has to do with inadequate or lack of municipal services, water, sewer, land drainage in the area. At this time, we recommend that the application be given a first reading, which allows the RRPD to do further investigation and analysis as per this site. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. With that overview, don't have a resolution on the floor, so we should put the resolution on the floor first, and then we can discuss it.
Be resolved that bylaw 2022-02, being a bylaw of the RM of East St. Paul to amend zoning bylaw 2009-04, as amended, be given first reading.
Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Duval, I'll second. Brechko seconds. I'll open up the floor for discussion.
I'm guessing I'm not for this, the high density of 85 units, so I'm just putting the 2 homes were before. And I'm confused a bit on the second phase that they wouldn't start until the plant has been upgraded. We have a moratorium on right now that there is no development at all. We know our plants, both 1 and 4, are down to minimum units. So I don't know why the phase 1 part is in there. But the 85 units in that area, I don't support. I know the 2 areas right on that corner of Henderson, it's close to the lights and traffic area, so myself being there, but that's just me. Other councils may support it and go the first reading and then go from there and let the public decide. But myself, knowing the area, and that's 75 units plus 5,300 square feet of commercial on top of that.
Yes, first floor.
On the first floor. And the third floor would be the 75 units.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, well, my only confusion is the phase 1, phase 2, since we don't have any sewer water right now. There really isn't any phase 1. None of it would start until the wastewater treatment plant was upgraded. Yes.
So in this situation, the previous CEO had offered the applicant 36 sewer hookups, not water, because they mentioned a lot of their required sewer hookups, but only if the density of the entire site did not exceed 36 units per acre, or sorry, 36 units for the entire site, which is 3 acres. So it didn't exceed the current RM density, which was 13 units per acre. So that was her reasoning. But I noticed that in this first phase, it says 45 units.
Any comments?
Yeah, just in, Just in summation, what this is 4-story buildings with commercial on the bottom floor and apartments on the next 3 floors. Is that correct? I understand. And the apartment sizes are 800 square feet. Okay, and without calculating the area and all, that's basically what it consists of. It's those 80, it's to a total of 85 possible apartments. Is that the number?
75.
75. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Another concern, well, I don't think there's a problem with going to first reading on that. This is only first reading. However, there could be a serious problem with MIT because it's right at the junction of Sparing, and joins up with Henderson. And I know from past developments that were affected, MIT have designs on that whole major intersection between Henderson and the perimeter highway, extending the ramps and all this kind of thing. Now, that's at first reading, we don't deal with that, but if first reading is passed, then it will be dealt with.
Thank you.
So I'm in favor of a first reading.
Devlin?
A little torn on first reading. If the intent of council is not to approve this, I believe that this applicant has a conditional offer on the land and we'd be leading him down the wrong path with time management. I think it's a peculiar spot to put this type of development based on all of what is going on in that intersection, and that the future for that intersection is kind of unknown right now based on conversations we'd had with MIT or TI, whatever they are calling themselves these days. So I, for one, wouldn't support first reading on this application.
You say you would?
No.
Would not.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
I had forgot one note I had made, and I asked that question previously. We have a piece of property through the middle that the lower grade comes through, and it shows on as an ID number piece of property that the fire marker moves in between 2 little lots. We should build on our property.
Once it gets first reading and stipulated, that's when all the staff looks at the application and comments on it, right?
That wouldn't come up. That's a piece of property in between that we own. So that's another thing, he doesn't own the middle of it.
Not till first reading.
Okay.
All right, I would like to give it first reading. I think in the same sense that we provided first reading to the large development we just saw. It provides a level of due diligence on the property. And Councillor Duval is exactly right on Manitoba infrastructure and that corner, because they have some future plans. Part of the discussions when the municipality worked really hard with the former minister and MI, we were trying to get Sparing paved for the residents that now didn't have access off of 59 on Pritchard Farm Road, and residents are now using Sparing to get back to Henderson Highway. And so we had appealed, as that construction project had originally indicated they were going to pave Sparing. And part of the rationale that the MI would not pave Sparing was that they indicated that this intersection may have some challenges because they need to upgrade the infrastructure to standards that are more in line with today on how accesses to highways occur. So there's an issue, definitely. You're 100% right with that corner. And I think allowing the circulation of this will make that really clear, because if MI really does need that property for the upgrades, they will have to declare that. And then that will identify how development can't proceed anymore. And that would stop future applicants from going through these processes. The applicant's already done so. We haven't encouraged or denied them, the ability to do that. But that certainly would be a big takeaway from that process. And as well, just get additional information on their plans. And then more importantly, hearing feedback from the residents that live in that area. I think we realize the importance of that moving forward under new Bill 37. And I think it's really important that we also have residential support or opposition clear for council to make a good decision. So for that reason, I would support first reading. So if no more comments, we have the resolution on the floor.
Yes, we do.
We've had it moved and seconded.
Yes, we have.
Okay, any last comments before we go to vote? Right, I'll call for the question then. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Is that your last item with us today, Derek?
So,
So, second.
yes, that's it. Unless council needs us for anything else.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Almost my bedtime.
Two late nights in a row.
Went to bed last night.
We're gonna do a break.
Yeah, we can take a 2-minute break. Let our PD pack up. Great, we're back from recess, and the next item on our agenda is 7.3. It's 7.3. It's the traffic bylaw. We had this earlier at GPC meeting, and it's in front of us today for first reading. And some additional information was added as to the wording for the exemptions. Were there any questions on the bylaw?
Yeah.
I will say, and I made this comment last time at the GPC meeting, and I'm going to make it again. The wording, we didn't see the wording last time on what the exemption wording would look like. And so I'm not really totally comfortable with permits to typically not be considered for contractor and construction activities. It makes it sound like there's still wiggle room there, and without knowing what kind of, this puts our operations person in the position of having to make decisions and having contractors, I'll say, requesting exemptions because my building material was late and it wasn't here in time, and now I'm gonna and those are not the reasons, from what I understand, that most municipalities provide exemptions. So the wording that's in there that says permits would typically not be, it just, to me, there's too much gray area there left for operations manager to have to make decisions.
We could certainly remove the word typically if that gives council more comfort.
It just would say, the wording that if this is what we want to occur, we don't want it for construction and those kinds of issues. It's strictly supposed to be emergency. Permits will not be considered for contractor and construction activities.
Right. So effectively the same, just remove the word typically.
Right. And so that when the operations manager gets a call and says, I want to move my roof trusses in.
The answer is I cannot, the bylaw prohibits it.
Bylaw.
Yeah. No, and if that gives council comfort, certainly we can do that.
Yeah, that's an easy change for us to make.
Yeah.
You can easily make that for second and third reading.
Right. Nodding. Okay. That was my only comment on it. Great. With that, have you read the resolution?
I have not, no.
Go ahead.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-03 being a bylaw of the rural municipality of East St. Paul for the regulation of traffic, parking, and the use of streets, roads, and sidewalks, also known as the rural municipality of East St. Paul's traffic bylaw, be given first reading.
Thank you. Can I mover and seconder, please? Postumus and Horechko. Discussion? All in favor? Over.
It's not a cold, it's
Yeah.
It's a cold. It's a cold.
well, I know what it is, I have that.
I know.
Gonna make you zoom in.
That's the way it is these days. You don't even want to cough anymore because people, that it's like, it's going to take some time to get over that. All right, next, we have several under our finances. So again, can I get you to read the resolution for the first item on the schedule of accounts?
Be it resolved that the schedule of accounts dated March 8th, 2022, amounting to $880 be confirmed as paid.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Postumus and Duval. Discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Schedule of accounts paid since February 8th, 22.
Be it resolved that the schedule of accounts paid since the February 8th, 2022 meeting of council amounting to $978,733.68 be confirmed as paid.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Duval and Devlin. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Roll.
Be it resolved that the net payroll and council indemnities for the arm of East St. Paul for February 8th, 2022 to March 8th, 2022 amounting to $199,988.45 be approved.
Thank you. Move in second. Devlin and Postumus. Discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Item under finances is the tax sale agreement. Council, were there any questions on this item? Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that council approve the tax sale agreement for roll number 189085 Orkney Drive, and be it further resolved that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the municipality.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Devlin and Duval. Again, I'll ask any discussion. All in favor? And that's carried. Next item under general business is the Health and Benefits Plan Advisor report. Can I get the resolution, please?
Resolved that council approve changing the Health and Benefits Plan Advisor from Granite Financial Group to RCS Insurance Consultants, Inc.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Horechko and Duval. Put the item on the floor for discussion.
I can speak to it.
Sure.
Management has brought this forward due to the fact that management.
Thank you.
Management has brought this forward due to the fact that we've had a bit of an issue with our current provider.
Or agent.
Or agent, yes, thank you. Agent is a better word. Their current agent and their lack of ability to be involved in conversations. We have to chase them. Our management is doing the legwork to get any information, whereas it should be the other way around. They should be working for us. We reached out and spoke with RCS insurance consultants. We were very impressed with what they said. They have a very good working relationship with our current provider. Hence, that's why the recommendation has been brought forward by management to make the change from Granite to RCS.
Thank you.
So just changing agencies.
Just changing agencies. We're not changing same policy. We're not changing providers or anything like that.
Can you describe what the agent does on our behalf? What are the kinds of questions or things do they do, that what service they provide?
If we have any questions regarding increase, say there's a year where we receive an increase, we would go to the agent and they would break it down for us, and they would then go to the provider and ask why it was increased or not, and they would negotiate on our behalf to try and have that lowered, or to have the definition as to why it changed on our behalf. Currently, we don't have that. Our management has to go to our provider of insurance and get that information ourselves. We send multiple emails, phone calls, and we're kind of left in the dark. We don't receive any comments back from them until it's past where our management has got that information from our provider.
So they're not.
That really the only kinds of service.
Essentially, yeah, there's not a lot, no.
No service.
No service, no.
And just out of interest, I know you mentioned you were impressed by the company that you brought forward. How were they selected? Are there many people that work in this area?
I mean, any advisor essentially can work in this area. We had spoke to another municipality, I believe it was Westlake Gladstone, if I'm not mistaken. I might have read that backwards or misremembered the actual title of their name. And they were very impressed with them. They've had nothing but good things to say about them. Management, we had spoken with our displeasure of this group. And we reached out to RCS and that's kind of how it all began.
Any other questions? Okay. We have the resolution on the floor.
Yes.
It's moved and seconded?
Yes.
Okay, no further discussion. I'll call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Next item is the status with Sunova Credit Union. Could you read the resolution for this item?
Be it resolved that council approve the closure of the East St. Paul bank account with Sunova Credit Union and withdraw the balance of the account and move it to the CIBC bank accounts.
Thank you. Move and seconder, please. Devlin and Duval, open for discussion.
I can also speak to this.
I think it's pretty straightforward unless somebody has a question. The only, in the background to the proposal, it said the decision was made to switch our primary bank over to CIBC over 5 years ago. It was in place in 2014, so it's probably even further back than that. Yeah.
We'll note that.
It's just been around a lot longer that our primary banker has been a larger institution. All right.
It's been moved and seconded.
Thank you. No further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Right, we have no, anybody have anything arising from correspondence? All right, so, thank you.
Have we, how would I say, put a figure of what we do get as an average back on the fines? I know, I think it was 10,000 for January and 7,000 for February for Prairie by Law.
Dana's currently working on that, and he's hoping to be able to bring that back to council either Thursday or Friday during our budget meetings. Yeah, he's
30% to 50%.
Correct. He's working with bylaw right now to get those numbers, and the hope is to have that to be able to present to council Thursday or Friday at or Monday at one of the 3 budget meetings we're having.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, council members will submit their reports electronically or whichever format they do. And we have 2 items in camera this evening, 1 legal, 1 personnel. So if I can get that resolution, please.
Be it resolved that council now move in camera as per section 152(3) of the Municipal Act to discuss legal and personnel matters, and be it further resolved that all matters discussed while in camera are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. Move and seconded, please. Devlin and Postumus, all in favor? It's carried and we're in camera.
Mike, there we go.
We're back from in camera. Could I get the resolution, please, to bring us out and hold confidential?
Be it resolved that council now moves out of camera and resumes the regular meeting of council.
Moved by Horachko, seconded by Postumus, all in favor? That's carried.
Be it resolved that the meeting be adjourned, the time being 8:17 PM.
Moved by Devlin and Duval, all in favor? And that's carried. Good night, everyone.
Brian, you can't